All right, people, listen up here. There's less than 2 weeks left for you to win Ken Block's very own Ford Focus ST. Yes, it's real. This is not CGI. We're not that techie. Entering is simple. For every dollar you spend at Hoonigan.com, get you one entry into this giveaway. You have to do nothing else. Don't miss out on your opportunity to own one of Ken Block's very own cars. You win a car, we lose a car, and you know what that means? Room for more cars. So head on over Hoonigan.com because there's only 2 weeks left.
What's going on here?
You know,
what's that doing up there?
A little bit of long-term storage going on.
What's up, guys? Larry Chen here. Welcome to another episode of Hoonigan Autofocus. I got my good buddy here, Dylan Hughes.
What's up?
How are you?
I'm great, man. I'm doing great. Staying busy.
So, what's funny is that used to be one of my assistant's cars, Leaf. And then you also have another car here that used to belong to one of my really good buddies, Aaron Eusebi.
Yes, sir.
So that's gonna be your new Formula Drift Pro car.
Yep, this new competition car for 2020, different from the one that we ran in 2019, but this one's mine. So I was really looking, I fell in love with the BMW chassis last year when I was driving it for Huddy, and I decided I needed my own. So I offered my 240, I sold that thing, and just started building this one right around Formula D Texas 2019, and this is what we came up with.
All right, so the story is that I've actually known Dylan for a couple of years now. You actually used to crew for Chris Forsberg.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now you have your own team. Actually, we actually had a chance to follow him when he was running Pro 2, and Chris was spotting for him, yeah. Which is just so crazy. Like, I actually remember one of the days, for some odd reason, I asked you, hey, what are you doing? Or what do you want to do? And you actually said you don't want to wrench anymore, which you still have to wrench because now you have your own program.
Yeah.
But you actually want to be a pro driver. Yeah. And I get that a lot. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, I'm a pro drifter or whatever. So I'm like, you know, I take it with a grain of salt. But seeing how hard you work as a mechanic, you know, I believed in you and I wanted to see you succeed. Now, we're coming on the 2020 season. You got your own program. You got your own drift car that you built from my buddy's old daily driver.
Your buddy's mom's old daily driver.
There you go, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just such a crazy thing to kind of see this. So tell us a little bit about this.
So 2005 BMW E46, it's actually a non-M chassis, but there really isn't much difference once you swap over the suspension stuff. So yeah, his mom had bought it brand new in 05 and she drove the wheels off of it, but luckily she drove it pretty nice, so the chassis was unbelievably straight. So he told me that he had one and I was like, all right, I'll come and check it out. So I crawl underneath there, check out the subframe, which is a common problem with these cars, and it was perfect. The whole thing was perfect. So I was really stoked, and so I bought it. So I picked it up for $1,000, drove it back to the shop, and just started absolutely tearing it to pieces. Caged it, tube front, tube rear. I mean, it was bone stock. Every single thing that has been done in this car has been me or Dad or Chris Forsberg.
So unfortunately, it's not done yet, but I kind of wanted to do like a spot check and see mid-build. I guess it's about, what, 90% done?
Oh, I would say 98% done. All the hard stuff has been done. We got our new manifold showed up today, which we were waiting for, which is one of the two pieces. So we got the manifold on there, about halfway on now. Still got to do the charge pipe for that. And then we're waiting on a wiring harness. And as soon as that thing shows up, it is plumbed, it is primed, it is ready to go. So as soon as that wiring harness shows up, we're going to plug this baby in, fire it, and dyno it. So it's close.
Let's check out the engine bay.
Yeah. So this for me is pretty new. I have never had anything besides a V8 competition car. So this year we did this, which is definitely not a uncommon engine for drifting, obviously, but this is completely new for me. And one of the reasons for that was just because I drove one of Rad Dan's Supras, and I really just love that power band. That whole, the ramp, the way the power came on, and the feel of the turbo and the sound of the 2J I've always loved. I decided to mix it up, and you got to keep people guessing, right? So hopefully my fans are stoked on it, and this thing is going to be a pretty wild ride. It should do about 900 to the wheels. It's a 3-liter, still a stock crank, but it has Crowder rods, JE pistons, 9-to-1 compression, Crowder 272 cams, turbo by Garrett. It's the new G35 1050, which is the first turbo we're going to dyno it on. And then I also have a Garrett G42 that we're going to swap off on the dyno to get some back-to-back numbers. Then this is the Hypertune manifold that just showed up today, so I just swung that thing on there. And yeah, this thing is going to be a wild ride. It should be sick.
The funny thing to me is that a lot of people are taking the A90 Supra, which is essentially a BMW, and they're putting a Toyota motor in it. You actually are pretty much doing, you know, I guess, flipped, right?
Yeah.
I need you to come with me.
Who the heck are you?
I just told you that.
Right? Because or the A90 Supra is like, it's like a Toyota with a BMW motor, or it's a BMW. This is still inline six though, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. You know, watching Ryan really closely over the past couple of years, we've been working with Blackout together, and him and Chris were on the same truck for a while. So as I was working for Chris for multiple years, I'm kind of keeping an eye on Ryan's program, kind of keeping an eye on how it's doing, how that 2J's running, and it seems like they got that thing really figured out. So when I decided to do this one, I hit up Turk and I was like, yo, dude, like, give me the ins and outs, give me the ups and downs. What do I need to know? So we ended up getting lined up with OCD Scott. He did the CNC head port, and then I had a really trustworthy guy doing the bottom end over here in Santa Ana, and still wet sump, but that would pretty much be the only difference between mine and Ryan's motor. I think he has the Lighten crank, but this thing, there's no reason why it shouldn't make 850, 900 to the wheels with a little bit of nitrous. So, and his did 1015 to the wheels and lasted all year last year, which is pretty freaking impressive. So that kind of gave me the confidence to kind of change direction and go the 2J path, which I'm like stoked. I mean, look at it. Like, I'm so stoked.
It looks great. Yeah,
Thank
it
you.
looks
Thank
really
you.
good.
Really stoked on it.
So let's do a little walk around here. Tell us about the wheel and tire combo here.
This would be my, second year on Achilles. So the 285 35 123S in the rear. I run a 235 40 123S in the front. We're on all Advan Racing Yokohama. These are RGD2 wheels this year. So really stoked that they were able to come back. We had, I started working with Yokohama last year, was my first year. Absolutely fell in love with their wheels. Super light, super strong, never bent one, never broke one, never had any issues with it. So I was just really stoked to be able to continue the partnership with them.
Tell me about the brakes.
Yeah, so this is so we're all Parshot Max suspension on this thing. So these are the new Parshot Max. They're a Z32 caliper, but they're actually made by Parshot Max. So that's not a Nissan caliper. They basically copied it. So we have the full Parshot Max limit brake steering kit on it. And this is pretty awesome kit. I was able to run it last year and I loved it, absolutely loved it. It had an awesome feel to it. I was able to get super snappy transitions even with a little bit longer wheelbase than I'm used to. And they were able to work with me and change a couple of things that I wanted to change, and I'm absolutely stoked on it. So I have no doubt about this steering kit headed into the new season. I think this is going to be really awesome.
Oh, this is so cool. Can you jack up the front and see?
Yeah, of course. Let me grab a jack.
How much? So this is kind of one of my favorite things about modern drift cars, because it looks broken when it's fully turned, you know?
Yeah, let me grab a bigger jack.
That looks so silly.
It is comical, isn't it? I love it though.
I mean, I'm looking at the back side of the wheel. Like, you could clean everything, you can see everything so perfectly. It looks hilarious. So how many degrees of steering angle is this?
I haven't measured it, but it's got to be right at 70. I would say 65 to 70, and it feels like it when you drive it. You can get ridiculous with it. Like, it's almost like, it feels like cheating. It's like, not to say too much, but it's like, if you need more, you just turn more. Like, it's got it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're on the BC Racing shocks. I've been running those ever since I started drifting in Pro 2, and absolutely in love with them. Like, I put Parshot Max on my 240 before this one, put the BC shocks on at the same time, and have never taken them off. I've ran it on every car since then, and I love it.
It's funny because it's like, if you can turn the wheel fast enough when you're going straight, it's essentially like slamming on the brakes.
Yeah.
At this point. Like, look how it's sideways. That looks silly. That's super cool.
I love it.
Let's move to the back. Let's check out the back here.
Drift cars are hilarious these
Yeah,
days.
drift cars are funny.
So moving to the back, I really like to keep my cars as simple as possible, and that was definitely the goal with this one. I wanted to make it as clean as possible, as simple as possible, try to make it easy to work on, because when something breaks and you're in a hurry, you got to be able to fix it quick. So really everything we've learned over the past couple of years, and obviously working in the same shop with Chris Forsberg, is an absolute blessing, because he's been in this for so long and he knows everything about it. So incredibly lucky to be working with Chris, and he helps me out a ton, so super lucky. But Sabon trunk, Sabon hood, worked with them for a couple years now. Super light carbon fiber bits that are really high quality fit, absolutely perfect. And here's the business end of the back.
Well, this is insane because you could just see so much on this. It actually has a lot more room than a lot of the drift cars versus like Forsberg's. Yeah, this pro car right there. This has so much more room.
Yeah, and with this one, I really wanted to try and utilize some of the space that it has. The BMW is kind of a big chassis compared to the 370Z, so I really wanted to try and keep that room available for basically real estate to put, cool suit, radiator, fuel cell, battery, all that different stuff we have to put in these cars. So I decided that I wanted to put the fuel cell basically right on top of the differential. So that left me with a lot more room in the back, because usually I put the gas tank in the back. Doing that, it gave us a lot more room. So basically the radiator is the farthest piece back, and then I obviously have these two individual corner bumper bars, a little bumper support in the back.
I mean, you did all of this yourself.
Yeah.
You built this from the ground up.
Yes, sir, yeah.
This is so clean.
Crispy dimes, brother.
I cannot believe how good they are.
Thank you.
And it's something that, I mean, how many people are going to see that? Does it matter at that point?
It matters to me, because I know, there's that one piece where it's like I might have messed up the weld, or I might have this thing's not perfectly straight. Like people are like, oh, it doesn't matter, nobody's going to see it. Yeah, but I'm going to see it, and I'm going to notice it, and I'm going to think about it when I'm sitting on the line against whoever it is. So that, I took my time with this car. I took my time. It took me 6 months to build. Been thrashing on it every single day, and I'm unbelievably proud of this car. So I cannot wait to drive it.
It looks great.
Thank you, Larry.
Well, tell me about the rear end here.
Winner's Performance 10-inch quick change, fairly standard for a pro drift car these days. This is the RTS 1000. We have drive shaft shop axles, drive shaft shop carbon fiber drive shaft. I have a blade style sway bar that I started running last year on that E46, and it made a huge difference and as far as being able to ride the wall on some of those steep bank tracks. So blade style sway bars, absolutely must have. I made a full titanium exhaust, so it's from Tycon material, and then I was able to fire up my Miller welder and burn that thing together. Pretty much, I really just wanted it because it'd be a little bit lighter, of course, and then obviously for the sound, because the sound of the Ty exhaust is going to give it that nasty, raspy, like snowmobile awesome sound. So that was kind of the reason for that, and Tycon was nice enough to help me out with that. So I can't wait to hear it even more.
So this is actually really cool. You actually access this back area through these windows here?
Yeah, so originally the car, we brought in a new sponsor, Row Purple, and we had to send the car to PRI to announce that sponsorship, and the car was like maybe 30% done. And so they told me that they want it there during SEMA, and PRI is about a month after that. So I was like, oh my God, I have so much work to do. So made a back window for it, kitted it, fitted it, got wheels, tires, motor was in there, but it wasn't obviously hooked up at all. So basically I had this back window, and I need to get this nitrous bottle out. You can just barely see that guy through there. And you need to be able to access all this stuff. And so I put the back window in there just a couple weeks ago, and I was like, man, I really like the way it looks. Like, I don't really want to do like the whole half window thing like a lot of people have been doing. So I was like, okay, I gotta access my nitrous bottle, and I gotta access the cool suit. So I'm like, how do I do that? I gotta figure out a way that I can get in the back while keeping this back window. So this is what I came up with. So these are these pretty rad little push button releases. So you just give these guys a little push on each corner, and then the whole thing just so pops right out.
And it's on both sides?
It's on both sides, because I have to access the nitrous bottle and the cool suit.
Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. Like, this is so cool. The welds here on the shock tower, beautiful.
Look at that, that's nice and shiny.
Thank you, sir.
Just beautiful. I cannot believe you did. You're just a one-man show.
I cannot take credit for all of it. I did all of the fabric. There's not one person that welded on this car besides me, but I had a ton of help. My dad and Chris Forsberg are absolute, like, the men of all men. They helped me so much. I can't even explain my gratitude to them.
Dad, I love you!
But yeah, as far as welding and fabrication, I do all of it. All of it.
This is just Really, really cool.
Radium 10-gallon fuel cell. They were nice enough to send that over, and I just love how it's mounted, just directly over the quick change differential, pretty low, so it's going to get that weight between the wheels, which is kind of important for me this year.
And this is pretty cool too.
Yeah, and so that goes back to, being wise with the real estate that you have in the back of this car. This car is pretty big compared to that Z, so I really wanted to be able to place things in here where the weight made sense. I want to have this thing really balanced. So I decided to do the firewall on the main hoop, and that basically just separates all of that stuff behind you, because you're not allowed to be in the same compartment as your battery. You're not allowed to be in the same compartment as your fuel cell. You're not allowed to be in the same compartment as your nitrous bottle unless you have a dump on it. But so that was really it. I just basically wall the whole thing off so the driver's compartment is completely separate, and then all this stuff, you can dive in the window, get this out, work on things if you need, and then if there's ever a fuel leak or anything crazy going on back there, completely separated.
Wow.
And the coolest part about these windows, I think, is that I found this really sweet perforated aluminum pieces. And I was able to cut them out, made this whole thing, and made it all nice and pretty. But once you throw this thing sideways, since we're always driving this car sideways, right? So this thing is going to have air being forced into it, which is going to be good because it's going to feed that Mishimoto radiator with all the air that it needs. And then once we're driving straight, the fans will pull the air in that it needs. And I can still put stickers on it, which should be pretty cool. So
That's pretty cool.
Definitely was really stoked on how this turned out. And then when you want to snap it back in, just give it a little, trying to line this thing up here. Come on now. A little that. A little that, and a little that. Boom.
And you even replaced the roof, huh?
Yeah, so I drilled all the spot welds out of the roof, and I hit up my buddy Chris from HGK. We all know him, and I was like, hey, I want some doors and I want a roof. And so yeah, we put a carbon roof on this thing, and I actually posted a couple things on my Instagram. This roof is about 25 pounds lighter than the stock one. So just that right there, 25 pounds. Each door was about 60 pounds lighter, which is like nuts to me. Pretty cool. Yeah. So it was like, the day we put on the hood, the trunk, the doors, and the roof, we shaved like 200 pounds out of this thing.
From the outside, the door actually looks stock.
Yeah, it does. And that's the coolest part. And it fit so perfectly well. I didn't trim this, nothing. It just fit perfect. I was really impressed with it.
I've actually had a chance to visit Chris at HGK at Bikarniki. Don't kill me for this, but Bikarniki racetrack. But it was cool to kind of see their operation and all the cool builds they have there. But this is exactly what I expect from them in terms of quality. I cannot believe how good this is.
Isn't that sick?
This is so cool. So what are you gonna do for the door handles?
So basically what I did last year is I just was able to spin like a little tether right onto here, and then you just have like a little tether that you'll pull forward on. And it's the way we had it last year, and it worked awesome. But what blew my mind the most is I caged this car probably a month after I bought it. So this car has been caged for several months at this point, and I hit up Chris and I'm like, hey, I need some doors, cool. They showed up, and I'm like, oh man, I'm looking at them on their website, and they have these indentations in here, these carbon fiber indents, so the door bar can come out. And I was like, there's no way I'm gonna get that lucky. It's not gonna fit, because I have these anti-intrusion door bars sticking out. And sure enough, I put those doors on, and I closed it real gently and real slowly, and it fit perfect. I was like, I won! Like,
how much room does that?
there's like none.
Oh.
It fits so good.
Not a finger. Yeah, it's really good.
I got so lucky on it, and I was like, the day I put these doors on, I was like losing my mind. I was like, yes, it fits! I don't have to cut the carbon up. I'm stoked. So, just little wins, car nerd wins, I was really stoked.
Let's talk about the interior. Did you actually move the seating position back? Because it seems like it.
Yeah, I did. So they have the factory, basically rails that they have in there, and I drilled those out because I didn't like where they were. I didn't like the height of them. I didn't like how far forward they were. So I drilled it all out, and then I ended up making my custom box tube seat brackets. I try and stick the passenger side as far back and as low as I can for weight, and then I just put the driver's seat wherever felt best with the floor mount tilt and pedals. So these seats, we had these in the car last year, and then we had to move these over to this one. These are the Recaro Hans Pro Racer Spot Hans seats, my absolute favorite seat. I've been saying this since I even started motorsports 6-7 years ago. This is my favorite seat of all time, and I'm lucky enough to be able to work with Recaro on these things, and they're absolutely beautiful, perfect, brand new, clean, and that's home sweet home right here. This is my favorite.
That seat is so tiny. pretty sure I probably can't even fit it.
No birthing hips allowed. These are for skinny guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and Forsberg, little Gumby looking guys, fit in these ones pretty well. But I got the XL for the passenger side so I can take different size passengers. But the driver's seat is definitely a tiny little guy.
The steering column is crazy. I can't believe how long it is.
Yeah, and that's one of the things when pushing the seat back is I knew that I had to go with an aftermarket column, and we ended up using this one in the car last year. Loved the way it felt, loved how light it was. This is a Woodward manufacturing column. You know, we just bought this and put it in and kind of made the dash bar so it fit as it needed to. And then as soon as we get our Link ECU display back, then we will, you know, we got the ECU mount here, the display mount here, all of it from Link. Really stoked to be working with Link this year, powering this this Monster 2JZ.
So, are you actually going to put a dash in here?
I do have a dash for it. I have an HGK dash. I just haven't put it in. It's all, the brackets are made. It's all ready to go. It's all ready to bolt in. Basically just waiting for that wiring harness because I got to get back here, put the ECU back, you know, put the PDM back in there and all that stuff. So it'll just be easier.
It looks pretty cool. It actually has a lot of room right now, and how much you did to fit and finish everything is just so clean. I love it. Like, really, seriously, bro.
Hey, man.
This.
See, you notice it. I notice it.
I cannot believe it. Oh man, it looks really, really good. I really like it.
Thank you, sir.
So, and this is a glass windshield?
You know, we had a Lexan windshield on the car last year, and it always seemed to get scratches in it, no matter if you use a brand new clean rag or, you know, I just never was really in love with the Lexan, and then you have to have a strap that goes down the middle. I didn't really like that either, so my buddy Otis, he gets really good deals on windshields, so I was like, you know what, until this one breaks, I'm just gonna run a glass one. So they're super nice and clear. The windshield wipers glide on them a little bit better, so I'm not really concerned about weight with this car, so I was like, whatever, glass shield, it'll be all right. So one of the things that I did learn from Ryan was that power steering can be a real bitch. That's how he ended up riding that car off in Long Beach last year. So that's a little bit scary to me. And it sounded like that the belt might have been the issue for that. So I really wanted to try to eliminate any sort of power steering issues that we might have. And Chris has had really, really good luck with these MR2 pumps. So I decided to go with an electric pump and I needed to put it somewhere. So I figured nice and low and far back in the car would be the best deal. So I ended up mounting the power steering pump and the water pump to the floor under here.
Whoa, hold on.
What the? Yeah.
Oh, that is actually really cool.
So that is a Mazir water pump, and we ran it on the car last year, and we had really good luck with it. It flows an unbelievable amount of water, and this is the best place I could think to mount it. And it's good because the weight is really low, which is good, and it's pretty far back. So we just got to plug a couple wires into those things, and the coolest part about it is this engine has one belt. So no, it's still wet sump this year, so that means it just has a belt for the alternator, just one tiny little belt. So no power steering, no water pump belt, and this turned out pretty clean, and I'm really, really proud of it.
Let's check out the welds on this exhaust here. Oh,
Titanium,
buddy.
titanium.
And on the subframe area here. Let's just appreciate them.
Would you look at this?
Yeah, well.
Would you look at that?
Can we just appreciate them? Can you guys appreciate them? We're under the car here checking out all of this stuff, but I don't know how to weld, but I can appreciate this a lot. Like, this is super cool. Really good job on this, man. I love this so much.
Nice and clean, so I ended up doing a couple of bulkheads through the floor to try and get it as nice and clean as possible, try and keep some of the smoke out of the back of this thing, try and seal it off as best I can. Run the fuel lines down there with the power steering lines all nice and clean, tucked up by the trans tunnel, and I'm just really proud of even the bottom of this car.
Yeah, like, look at this right here.
Oh, would you look at this? Oh, would you look at that? Oh, look at that.
But so this thing actually went on a rotisserie before it got painted, and they flipped it upside down, sandblasted the whole entire chassis inside and out, up and down, and then they were able to paint it upside down, inside out, all that stuff. So the whole entire chassis is steel at gray, and I've been really, really happy with how it's looking. So you can pretty much eat off the bottom of this thing. For right now, it's probably not gonna last, but it looks good right now, and I'll take it.
Well, thank you so much for showing us this.
Of course.
Unfortunately, you can't shred in the shop right now, like Forsberg
Like
did
somebody
here.
did the
Yeah.
other day.
But we'll definitely follow you at Formula Drift. definitely looking forward to shooting this thing in action.
Cool. Thank
but
you.
Yeah, it's super cool to kind of see your progression. You didn't come from money. You didn't come from like a traditional racing background, like a lot of people who start in drifting. A lot of people come from whatever, open wheel, karts, or rally, or ice racing, or whatever. You actually just started, what, from dirt bikes?
Dirt bikes, really, yeah. I grew up racing dirt bikes, and that was really, I think, where the whole hand-eye coordination and equilibrium kind of benefited me, because I was able to grow up, you know, with a good sense of balance, which has transferred over into pro drifting. And it's been a lot of work. We've had a couple of really awesome years and a couple of long years working hard and doing what's necessary to, at the end of the day, achieve what needs to be achieved. And that's, I want to go pro drifting. So that's my goal, period, end of story. And the only way that I could think to do it was if I could figure out a way to work on a team. And so that's where Chris Forsberg was nice enough to bring me onto his team. And I worked for his team for about 5 years before I ended up going into Pro 2. I won a Pro-Am series, ended up going into Pro 2, got second place overall my first year in Pro 2, and then was able to step up into Pro 1. So it's been an awesome journey, and just so thankful for the help along the way. And yeah, I can't wait to shred my new whip.
I think that's a wrap.